Hello, class. Good morning. Please, can you all hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
Madam.
Yes, madam.
Please, can anyone hear me?
We
I
can
can
yes,
hear you, madam.
yes,
Okay, all right.
madam. You are
Okay,
audible.
You
thank
are
you.
welcome.
So, can we start the class now? Or
Yeah,
some of you are still out?
Madam, please,
I
we
can
can
see.
start.
Okay, all right. So, good morning again. I trust we are all doing well. It's been a while. Yesterday we tried, but the internet was very bad, so we couldn't. That's why we pushed it to today. So today we are going to talk about professional ethics. Professional ethics, and as an introduction, we want to understand what we mean by professional ethics. We've discussed over the period what ethics are and the basic understanding that they are acceptable and unacceptable ways of doing things. So when we talk about professional ethics, what do we mean? So first of all, what is a profession? A profession, we describe it as any vocation or any act that requires advanced education and training. So, yes, Michael.
Madam, please, sorry for the interruption. I think we've done professional ethics.
We have, I
yes,
confirmed
madam.
from you. Okay, all right. Okay, give me a minute then. So have we done theories of ethics?
No, please.
Okay. Please, what about types of ethics? Have we treated types of ethics?
No, please.
Okay, good. Now I know where to pick up. Okay. Thank you for the prompt. So I think we'll move on to types and theories of morals and ethics then. We'll begin with type of ethics, and then when we finish and there is still more time, we can talk about theories of ethics. So just as I was saying, we know the meaning of ethics and morals. We know what they mean. Today, we want to talk about the various types or categories of morals and ethics that we deal with. And over the weeks, our discussion brings to our attention that ethics and morals basically deals with how we live as individuals, the acceptable and unacceptable things that are expected of us, what we deem as wrong or right as individuals or as a group, and what's the proper course of action in a particular situation is. These are some of the things that we deal with regarding morals and ethics. So today we want to delve deeper and get where and how we get these understanding from. So there are three main study areas that guides us in answering the questions of what is right and what is wrong. And these are meta ethics, normative ethics, and applied ethics. These are the three main types of ethics that we have. And meta ethics deals with the definitions of what we give as right or wrong. So when you say something is right or wrong, what does it mean? When I say that thou shalt not steal, what do I mean by stealing? So the definitions that we give to the specific actions, that is what meta ethics talk about. Normative ethics talks about the rules that govern our actions within a society. So if I say don't steal, what are the processes that will lead an individual to steal, or what are the processes that takes place for us to say that this is stealing? So normative ethics don't look at the action itself or the act. It looks at the process or the ways of acting and not the act itself. Then we have applied ethics that tries to combine meta and normative ethics and tries to bring a balance between the two. So we'll look at them individually and try to understand what they mean. So meta ethics is a branch of ethical philosophy that attempts to answer the fundamental questions about the nature of ethical theory. So it tries to give an understanding to the nature of ethics and how ethical knowledge is acquired. So if we give certain prescriptions of what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in a society, meta ethics tries to give an understanding or give a description of the action and what we mean by that action. So as I said earlier, it is wrong to steal. What do we mean by stealing? What is our understanding of stealing? So to one person, stealing may be taking something that does not belong to you. To another person, stealing may be taking and using something that does not belong to you. To another person, stealing is taking and using something that belongs to another person without asking. So meta ethics tries to give definition to the various acceptable and unacceptable behaviors that we have. So they ask questions like, is it possible to acquire ethical knowledge, or what makes an action right or wrong? So if we say this is right or wrong, is it possible for us to gain that understanding, for an individual to have that understanding that indeed this is right, for us to come to that conclusion that indeed this is the right thing or this is the wrong thing? And again, they try to give us an understanding of what action is actually right or wrong. So with the example I gave earlier, I gave 3 different definitions of stealing. One person thinking that stealing is when you take somebody's item. The other person thinks that, well, you can take the item, but if I have not used it, it is not stealing. So that person would define stealing as taking someone's item and using it, an item and using it when it does not belong to you. Another person may think that stealing is when you take somebody's item and use it without asking the person. So you realize that these are 3 different definitions of what stealing is. So meta ethics try to give a distinction to what actions are right or wrong. There are 3 main areas or branches of meta ethics. We have the realists, we have the cognitives, and then we have the naturalists. And the realists have the moral realism, and they say that moral truths exist independent of human beliefs. So no matter, irrespective of what your belief or your understanding is, moral truths of what is right or wrong exist in themselves. And the anti-realists argue that morality is subjective and based on human perception. So the anti-realists say that morality is subjective. As I explained earlier, I gave 3 different definitions of stealing, 3 different subjective definitions. So depending on where you belong, that is when you determine whether your action or the act is right or wrong. So while realists are saying that stealing is stealing, anti-realists are saying that the act of stealing is subjective. What you deem as stealing may not be deemed as stealing to another person. So for instance, a child comes home from school, there is no food. He finds money on daddy's writing desk. it is my father and I'm hungry. He's the one supposed to provide food for me. So he or she takes the money and goes to buy food with it. One person may think that, hey, child, this is your father's money. You should have asked before taking. So the fact that you didn't ask, it means you have stolen. Another person may think that, wait, that is his father. He was supposed to provide food. He did not, and the child is hungry. So what do you expect that child to do? This is not stealing. It is his father's money, and that is an anti-realist. Okay, then we have the cognitives. We have the cognitivism and non-cognitivism. And the cognitive says that moral statements can be true or false, just like any factual statement. So depending on where you stand, that will determine what definition or conclusion you will give to an action. So at one moment, you may think that cheating on your husband, on a husband, is wrong. At another moment, depending on your circumstance and your situation, you may think that, Charlie, this one is justified. Team legal wife and team, what is the other people? We are all justified. So depending on where you stand, depending on your circumstances, it will determine whether the action is right or wrong. Then we have the non-cognitives, who says that moral statements are not true or false. They just express emotions and commands. So the non-cognitives are saying that there is nothing like true or false or right or wrong actions. Yes, Alfred, your hand is up.
Madam, morning.
Good morning.
Madam, please, I just want to ask a simple question. Madam, please, with the examples you give, please, I don't know, can cheating your husband be right in some way? Because I don't understand this example.
Okay.
Because I see no circumstances that you cheating your husband may be right, no matter what. It's not right, it's wrong. So I don't know if you can clarify for me.
As you said yourself, it is just an example I'm giving. So you
Okay,
shouldn't pick,
okay.
there's no need to pick on it.
My
It's just
heart
an
broke.
example
Okay, thank you,
I was
madam.
giving to explain the
Okay,
point.
thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alfred. So please, just as we usually do, in order for us to have a smooth flow, I wish that we will all note our questions. The questions are very welcome. The questions are very much allowed, but please, if it is okay with all of us, let us just note them so that when we finish the class, we cannot take the questions and contributions, so that we will have a smooth flow of the lecture, especially that we are recording it, if it is okay with all of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So I was explaining that non-cognitives believe that moral statements depend, or they are just emotional expressions of other people. So based on where you are, or based on your circumstance and where you stand, you determine what action you want to take, or you determine what meaning you want to give to the actions that has taken place. Then we have the naturalists. We have the naturalist and the non-naturalist. And the naturalists argue that moral facts exist and can be studied as, just like we study scientific facts. So they say that morality, or acceptable and unacceptable ways of living, are facts that exist or live with us. And we can study their characteristics and their circumstances and understand them and live by them. So just as our brother picked on, someone put in the comment section that men don't take cheating as a joke. Yes, so any matter about cheating, they don't joke with it. So before you marry, you study all the dynamics of cheating, emotional cheating, financial cheating, spiritual cheating. When your husband is there, you don't go pray with another man. You study all these dynamics and understand them before you marry and go and worry another person's child with cheating. So the naturalists are saying that the acceptable and unacceptable ways, they are there, they exist, their dynamics are there. You need to understand them and be able to live by them. And the non-naturalists are saying that we are human beings, we are not atoms. Or chemicals to be lived positivism. Please, just a minute. Hello.
Madam, please, we can't hear you.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. Okay. So I was saying that these are the three main branches of meta ethics. Okay, yeah, right. The realists, the cognitives, and the naturalists. So these are the three main branches of meta ethics. And so this brings us to normative ethics. And whereas meta ethics is looking at the definitions that we give to various actions, normative ethics is the branch of ethical philosophy that considers how an individual should act. So they don't look at the action, but they look at what led you to the action. So this is the branch of ethics that classifies our actions as either right or wrong. And they deal more with norms and moral systems or rules. So please, can you mute your microphones? While normative ethics is examining the standard of rightness and wrongness, meta ethics is concerned about the meaning of moral language or the meanings that we give to morality. So normative ethics is looking at the processes that we go through, the various actions that an individual should take to determine whether an action is right or wrong. But meta ethics looks at the action itself and determine whether the action is right or wrong. So meter has no business with what you do. They only look at the end product. But normative action looks at what you do or the processes that you go through as an individual. So the process of normative ethics involves expressing good habits that we should acquire and the duties that we should follow and the consequences that comes with our behaviors. So there are rules and regulations. Are you following the rules? Are you following the regulations? Case closed. So there was a case some few months ago about a student at UCC who was supposed to write an exam. He came to the center without his ID card. And then the invigilator said, go back, you can't write the exam without your ID card. Unfortunately, this gentleman went back for his card and the unfortunate happened. I loved the discussion so much on Facebook because while others were bashing the invigilator for not allowing the student to write the exam without the card, others were also saying that it is unfortunate that he died, but the invigilator was only following rules and regulations. So normative ethics does not look at subjective feelings or subjective understanding. Just what are you supposed to do? Do it, and that is what it is. So it is the process which comes up with a set of rules that govern human behavior and human conduct. So what is the right or wrong thing to do in a particular situation? And what is the acceptable and unacceptable ways that is given in a within a given context? So normative ethics looks at rules and regulations and how we can follow these rules and regulations. Normative ethics also has three main branches. We have the consequentialist, we have the deontologist, and then the virtue ethics. The consequentialists argue that actions are right or wrong depending on their consequences. So according to the consequentialist, an action's rightness or wrongness depends on the outcome of that action. So if I asked, when the invigilator asked the student to go away or go and get his card before he can write the exam, there are reasons why universities set rules and say that nobody can write an exam without a picture ID card for identification. And this is to prevent impersonation. This is to prevent people from writing exam for their friends or in place of other people. Now, so long if this action that was taken by the invigilator, eventually we were found out that indeed this student was trying to sneak his way into the exam hall to write the exam for another person, we would all have clapped for the invigilator. It is good he followed the rules. As for rules, it must always be followed. It is good. Meanwhile, once the student went, it is the same rules he followed that the student went and died. Now, he's the most evil person anybody can think about. How can you be so chinchine? What is ID card that we can't write exam with ID card? After all, does he not have a course rep? Couldn't you have called the course rep and called the course rep to come and help you identify? This man was bashed left, right, center, everywhere, back and front. Premium bashing. Why? Because the consequence of his action was not favorable. So the consequentially say that it is the outcome of your action that will determine whether what you did is right or wrong. So whatever you are doing, nobody will say anything, nobody will judge you, but let us wait for the outcome, then we see what we will say. The most well-known version of consequentialist is utilitarianism, and they say that we should always act in ways that maximize happiness and minimize harm. So the utilitarians say that any action that is right is an action that maximizes happiness and minimizes harm. And on the other hand, if it does not maximize happiness and minimize harm, then it means it is not the right thing or it is an unacceptable way of acting. Then we have the deontologists. And the deontologists argue that actions are right or wrong regardless of their consequence. So what matters is following moral rules or duties. So we have set rules and regulations. Why are we now looking at consequences? Just follow the rules and you are fine. We have rules, we have ethical codes or codes of ethics in a group or in the organization, wherever. Let us simply follow the code of ethics and stop focusing on consequence of our actions. So this approach is often linked to Immanuel Kant, who argued that morality should be based on universal principles. So we should have principles that work for everyone or principles that is applied to everyone. We can't be determining outcome, positive outcome today and determining negative outcome tomorrow. Simply follow rules and regulations and don't focus on consequence. Then we have virtue ethics, and they say that instead of focusing on rules or consequences, virtue ethics asks what a good person should do. So they emphasize on character and good traits. So as an individual, by virtue, you know acceptable ways of living. You know unacceptable ways of doing things. So instead of looking at consequence, instead of looking at rules, just let good virtue drive you in things that you do. Yesterday, I was invigilating. You can't write exams without ID card. That is a basic principle. So if you come to the center without your ID card, we will not allow you to write. Yes, these are level 100 students, first year students. They are still getting accustomed to the system. So yesterday when we started, a few students came in without their ID cards. They went to print photocopies from their phones or wherever. And then based on the fact that they are new, they are level 100s, and this is the first week of exam, I consider the fact that they are still getting accustomed to the system. I just warned them that don't do that again. Next time when you do that, you will not be allowed to write. And I allowed them in. So we have rules that should be followed, but based on my virtue, based on principle of showing kindness and mercy, I just allowed them to go in. Another lecturer came when I left, and I realized he was insisting. I saw some students standing when the exam was going on. When I asked why, they said, Dr. So-and-so said we can't go in because we don't have ID card. Now, I was feeling guilty that I have allowed some others, I have pardoned some to go and write, and these are going to miss out. So quietly, I went to see the lecturer. I pleaded with him that indeed what you are doing is right. That is what should be done. But let's pardon them. These are level 100s. And actually, I have allowed some in already. So my conscience is not sitting well with me. So I beg you, let us allow these ones to go in. And that is a demonstration of virtue ethics. So the rules are there. The consequences are there. But we allow our character and virtue to drive your actions. And that is what virtue ethics says. Okay. Now we move to applied ethics. Oh, what is that? Okay. And applied ethics is the application of philosophical methods to identify moral correctness to take in life, or moral correct actions in life. So simply put, applied ethics actually just sits between meta and normative ethics. So meta ethics says gives definition to actions. Normative ethics tries to look at processes of actions that we deem as right or wrong. Applied ethics tries to bring a balance between the two. So environmental ethics, business ethics, and sports ethics are all examples of applied ethics. And it involves examining specific controversial issues and how we deal with them as a society. So example as gun control, animal rights, and capital punishment. So a typical example, now I'll need a discussion with the class. So if we look at I want to have a practical, okay. So in Ghana, there are certain parts of our forests that we are not allowed to get game from. You can't go to certain parts of the forest to hunt for animals. And these are meta ethics that says that if you kill an animal in this section, it is an offense, so you must be punished. The normative ethics will come in and say that, wait, we are hungry, so should we not eat? We need food to eat. How do we leave animals to linger around when we are hungry? We must eat. This brings in applied ethics, who says that, okay, yes, we must preserve species of animals. We must preserve them so that they don't extend from society. But at the same time, we must also eat. These are foods that are nutritious to the human body, which we must eat. So what do? Let us set certain boundaries that will guide all of us. So yes, you can hunt, but in this section of the forest, you cannot go there. Sorry. You can't go to this section of the forest to hunt so that animals there can be preserved. You can hunt in this forest and that forest, but you can't hunt here. So what do we see? At the end of the day, we are getting our meat to eat, but at the same time, we have put mechanisms in place that is still preserving some animal life. Just like fishing. We can't fish or take fishes from our water bodies with all manner of practices to contaminate our water bodies. At the same time, we need to have fish to eat. So do we say that we are contaminating our water bodies, or we are not allowing the fishes to multiply? So we have stopped eating fish in Ghana. We can't say that. Neither can we allow society through their actions or quest for capitalism, quest for profit maximization, to use all manner of means to fish in the sea. So applied ethics comes in and say that, okay, yes, we will fish. Yes, we need fish to eat. However, you cannot fish at night. You can't fish with chemicals. When you catch fishes and their fingerlings, drop them back into the water. So at the end of the day, what are we doing? We are getting our fishes to eat, but at the same time, we are preserving our water bodies and preserving fish life. So applied ethics always come in between meta and normative ethics to bring a balance to ensure the smooth environment or conducive environment for human existence. So practical examples of applied ethics includes morality with regards to behavior and social interaction, so how we interact with other people, enforcement of rules and regulations or laws on behavior, and review of ethical dilemmas. So at every point in time, you realize that when we treated dilemma, most of the frameworks and guidelines are all applied ethics, where you try to bring a balance between two different opposing systems. Okay, So this brings us to the end of the lecture on types and theories of morals and ethics. We'll open the floor now for questions and contributions. So please, if you have a question, kindly put up your hand and then we will call you and discuss. If you have a question, please put up your hand. Yes, Christian.
Okay, Madam, please, can you go back to the normative ethics?
Okay. Okay, we are here.
So, Madam, I see this branch of ethics classifies actions as right or wrong. I want to ask about the woman who confronted the pastor in the viral video. Was she right or wrong?
Okay, this is an interesting topic. Let us discuss as a class. That woman who, you are talking about the tithing issue, right?
Yes, Madam.
Okay, this is a typical, thank you for your question, a typical normative and meta question. So, who are the meters? Who are those who think her actions were wrong? The act was wrong. You can't criticize your pastor. Or, okay, first of all, who can explain the meta aspect of the whole scenario? I believe we all followed that discussion on social media this week.
Yes, madam.
Or last week. Very good. So who can pinpoint to us the meta aspect of it? What is the meta aspect of that scenario? Yes. Okay. So to some of us, it doesn't matter what you wanted to say. It doesn't matter what the situation was. How on earth can you come and stand in front of a congregation and pinpoint bishop wo only bishop ne wana mo nyina mo ye armed robbers mo ye akronfo? I mean, how? A meter person will say that, madam, please, this is wrong, absolutely wrong. Yes, Alfred, your hand is up. Alfred, your hand is up. Yes, Kingsford. Kingsford, your hand is up. Is it you? Can you all hear me? People put up their hand. I call them and they don't mind me again.
We can hear you, ma'am.
No, please
Madam, we
continue.
can hear you.
Please continue.
Where is Kingsford? Kingsford, you put up your hand. Angela.
Okay, madam, thank you. So the meta aspect of this is that what the woman was trying to say might be correct, but the fact that she stood in public in front of the church addressing the issue was wrong. I thought she could have confronted the pastor herself, but saying it in public, would I say was a disrespect or something? Yeah. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Christian.
Madam, please, was the bishop right when he also addressed the congregation as armed robbers?
Okay, very good. That is also another angle of the whole thing. Yes, Alfred. Alfred, you put up your hand. I
Madam,
called you. Didn't mind me. You've put
madam,
up your
sorry, it's my
hand
mic.
again.
Sorry, it's my mic. Sorry, madam.
Yes.
Madam, please, as Angela was saying, if Angela thinks the pastor should have called the woman should have called the pastor in chambers and asked her the question. Why didn't the pastor also call the woman in chambers and also ask that question and say they are robbers?
Okay. So thank you very much. Last one from Paul.
Madam, please, can you give stats on what happened? Some of us
You
didn't
said?
know what happened. Some of us weren't following what happened.
Some of you didn't follow. Okay, I hear. No problem. So what happened is that this week, there was a viral video. If you have a class page, someone can share on your WhatsApp page when the class closed. But there was a video on Facebook about a woman, I think it was in press, we call it open forum. I'm sure that is what they were having, an open forum where members can come up with their issues and grievances about the church or about things they don't understand, and then we discuss as a church. And this woman whom I'm sure is aggrieved about tithing and some money issues at church and wanted to express herself and decided that she would say it as it is and name them who bishop. Anyway, tithe na moji no moye armed robbers because tithe no moji a momfa nhwe. There are a lot of members who are in need. You take the money and we don't know what you do to the money. So you are all thieves, you are all armed robbers, and I'm telling you just as it is. In summary, that is what the situation is, and it has been on social media. No, I didn't say it is Presby Church, it's Methodist, but I'm saying that discussion in Presby Church, we call it open forum. So that is the kind of thing I suspect they were doing in the Methodist Church. That's what I meant. Yes, please. Yeah, so in summary, that is what happened. And there is divided discussion on social media. Some are bashing the woman. You can't do that. How do you insult a bishop and men of God? And there's another sect of the population who are saying that no matter what, she's right. Don't they take the money? Don't we have people suffering in the church? She's the bold one. She's right. Now, meter people will say that, Madam, you are right or you are wrong. They will just look at the action that the woman did. But the normatives will say that, yes, you may have a point, but the process you took was wrong. Me, for instance, that is what I was discussing with my husband, that yes, this thing is in all churches. Church leaders, our leaders and our pastors sometimes take certain monies. What I disagree with most is the one that you go to church, we take offering every day, we pay all manner of money. But when you have a problem that the church must come to your aid, especially when you lose a loved one, let your mother or your father die, and go and tell church that church leaders, my mother and my father is dead, they'll now go and pull your tithe card and go and check whether you are paying tithe. That is what will determine whether you're a member or not. Meanwhile, every Sunday you see me at church. When I'm giving offering, you see. What I usually even tell my husband is when you saw that the person is not paying tithe, did you get close to the person? For all you know, this person is not even working. He or she doesn't have money. You didn't do that. Then when I'm in trouble, that I think that I have a family in church, so let me go and tell them, you now tell me my stance, which I believe is wrong, it's not right. However, it does not merit anybody to stand in a congregation, in front of a congregation, on moral grounds, on virtuous grounds, to say that you, bishop, you are a thief. The pastor never said the congregation was a thief. The pastor said the Bible says, and if you don't pay your tithe, you are robbing God. And indeed, that is what the Bible says. No matter what the grievance was, I feel the woman could have done better. The process she took, or the process she would have chosen, would have made better impact than what she did. Now, because of how she went about it, all attention has gone to the insult she gave, rather than what actually it is that she was drawing our attention to. So in this situation, this is where applied ethics come in. So applied ethics say that, yes, our leaders, a lot of the times, do things that is not right. But it does not also mean that we can come in public and insult and throw shades, what are we teaching the younger ones? So what do? Let us have grievance procedures. When people are not happy, what are the laid down procedures that people can lay down their grievances? You can talk to your cell leader. The cell leader can present the issue, and then it can go and go. That is how we lay down our grievances. So that is how applied ethics comes in to moderate the relationship between people in a particular place. Please, have I explained well? So with meta ethics, yes, the action is wrong. For normative ethics, yes, the action is wrong, but the process was right. Then applied ethics will say that, okay, look, this should not happen again. Let us have a laid down grievance procedure where people can present their cases, or where people can outlay their issues so that we address them, so that this does not happen again. Okay, Christian.
Madam, please, you said the bishop stood on a Bible verse in the Bible, and the woman also stood on the same thing and replied the bishop.
Okay, all right. Thanks for drawing our attention. Yes, any other question? So the person who asked the question, please, have I answered well? Have you understood what it is, the discourse around it?
Yes, madam.
Yes, no.
Okay. Faith.
Yes, madam, please. Good afternoon, madam.
Good afternoon.
Okay, madam, please, I want to ask you a question. Like this gone time, I was following the situation from Liberia. The president of the Republic of Liberia was addressing the nation or group of people, and he made a statement. He said that when you are going somewhere and you see a lot of dogs around, if you try to take stones and start throwing it at dogs, you will not reach your destination. And the entire countries got up on him, said that he insulted the people that voted for him in power, calling them dogs and things. So, madam, in that scenario, can we say that the president behave unethical, or how can we place it in the context of moral and ethics?
So the president was addressing his people, and he gave, you see, so this is where meta and normative comes in. Remember that one of the branches of meta ethics was explaining that morality is subjective. Me, as you narrated it to me, the president was only giving an idiomatic expression. What he said was an idiomatic expression. That is to me. Another person will say that, how can you call us dogs? So you see, morality is always sometimes it is where you stand and how you decide to interpret it. Please, do you understand?
Yes, madam, please, I understand.
Okay. So morality, usually, if not that we are following rules and regulations, if not that there are laid down rules that we are all following, if you want to look at the definitions of moral standards and what we determine as right and wrong, at one time it is based on a subjective understanding. At another time, it may be based on bending of rules and regulations, and that is when and how applied ethics always comes into the system. So, for instance, this week, apart from the tithe issue, this Dr. What also insulted or threw shade at the chairman of the Pentecost Church. She today, Basha, she has now come to apologize.
The free zones, madam.
Free zones, madam. She has received her own. Last, she has come to apologize. So one said to say that, but what she's saying is true. We hear it every day. Pastor, stay in your lane. Don't politicize don't come and join in politics. Another say that the opinion leaders, why can't they join in politics? So if you are not able to discern and regularize yourself well to know what to say and how to say it, you will always get yourself on one end, and the people at the other end will come at you and come very sharply. So applied ethics is always regulating the two to ensure that we have peace and sanity. Okay, any other question? All right, if there is no more question, I would like us to move to theories of morals and ethics. Theories of morals and ethics. Okay, just a minute. Please, just a minute, I'm coming.
Okay, madam. Okay.
Okay, please, can you all see the slide?
Yes,
Yeah.
madam.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So we are looking now at ethical and moral theories. So first of all, we want to start by understanding what a theory is. And we say that a theory is a set of assumptions or propositions or accepted facts that attempt to provide a rational explanation of a cause and effect relationship among a group of observed phenomena. So a theory is any explanation that you try to give to a cause and effect relationship. So I give a cause and effect relationship. If you step on a stone, or if you step on this stone, you will fall down. If you step on this stone, you will fall down. That is a cause and effect relationship. If you step on the stone, it is a cause effect, and the relationship between the stepping of the stone or your step and the stone is falling down. So if you step on the stone, you fall down. Now, why will I fall down when I step on this stone? There are many stones. If I step on them, I won't fall. But why this particular one? Okay, you fall because the stone is pointed and it is not sitting on a balanced ground. So when you step on it, it will tilt to the other side and it will cause you to fall down. That is an explanation, that is a proposition that I have given to that cause and effect relationship, and that is what we refer to as a theory. So they are not only valuable sources that enable us to think through ethical issues, but they also form the basis or foundation of our ethical understanding or ethical assumptions. So these theories we are going to discuss try to give explanation to the various things that we deem as acceptable and unacceptable. And they help us to form or give us a foundation to the acceptable ways or underpinnings that we have. There are two main ethical theories. We have the teleological theory and the deontological theory. And classical teleological theory is the utilitarians, and the classical deontological theory is Immanuel Kant's theory of ethics. You will take them one after the other to try and understand it. So we'll start with teleology. And teleology is a Greek word which is derived from the Greek word telos, which means end. So this theory holds that the rightness of an action is determined by the amount of good consequence that they produce. So teleological theory looks at the consequence of an action, or they focus on the consequence of an action. So whatever you do, nobody cares, but make sure that it is producing good consequence. So once it produces good consequence, then it is considered as right action. If it produces negative or bad consequence, no matter what it is, then it is considered as wrong action. So actions are justified by virtue of the end that they produce or the end that they achieve. So actions are not based on, or acceptable behavior is not based on the action. Right behavior is not based on the action. It is based on the end or the consequence of that action. Now, the principle of utilitarianism is a classical branch of teleological theory, and it holds that an action is right if and only if it produces the greatest balance of pleasure over pain for everyone involved. So for the utilitarians, an action is right if all parties involved enjoy pleasure and there is no pain. So for the utilitarians, once an action gives pleasure, then that action is right. But if it does not give pleasure, then it is wrong. Key principles or branches of utilitarians are the hedonists, the hedonistic utilitarianism. And they flow with the idea that pleasure is the only intrinsic good and pain is the only intrinsic bad. So everything that you do, just look for pleasure. So for hedonists, they don't consider anything. All they consider is pleasure. Once they are happy, final, nothing matters again. So children are typical examples of hedonists. A child doesn't care that fire will burn me. Look at a toddler. A toddler can be walking close to fire, going into fire. If you don't go and pick this toddler up, he has just seen a flame that he is excited about. He's not thinking about the burns it will give him or her. He's not thinking about the hurt it will come. All she's thinking about is that I've seen a flame. This looks beautiful. I must touch it. If you look at a child, they are playing in sand. They don't care that they are going to get dirty. They don't care about germs. They don't care they are going to get sick. All they care about is that I'm in the sand and I am happy. So until you, the mother or the father or caregiver, goes to take up or lift up this child, they will just be flowing in the dirt. Just a minute, yes. Please, just a minute. They will just be playing in the dirt without thinking about anything else. And that is a typical hedonist. If you look at adults, there are some people who do certain things. This week, there is a news on radio, just yesterday, not radio, social media, just yesterday, about a gentleman who stole, is it 12 million Ghana cedi or 1.2 million Ghana cedi from a bank, a customer's account, used a banker, yes, and has used 600,000 Ghana cedi of that for betting.
Betting.
I mean, seriously.
Dr. Beat, madam.
The first question I ask myself is, how do you even steal money from the bank and think that you will never be caught?
He's an investor.
Bank,
Aviator.
one cedi, if you take one cedi, let 5 years or 10 years come, it will be found out that, look, on this date, you transferred one cedi to a wrong account. Where is it? So this young man, all he was thinking about was the aviator and whatever investment he was doing, whatever he was using the money for, the pleasure and the excitement and the good returns it was bringing to him. That was all he was thinking about. He didn't consider that he may be caught. He didn't consider that. I just looked at his hand. He has a ring on his finger, so he's married. He didn't think about the shame this is going to bring to his family. He did not consider any of that. All he considered is that I've been able to transfer the money today. I'll bet on the match. I've been able to transfer the money today. I'll pump into the business. That is a typical hedonist. They don't consider anything apart from the pleasure that they are gaining at the moment. Then we have the act utilitarians, and they evaluate morality of individuals based on their specific outcomes. So based on your outcome, we determine whether what you did was right or wrong. Still on the bank issue, years back, I was working with the then UT Bank. And a gentleman also had a theft case. He stole huge sums of money from the bank. He was caught. He was imprisoned, I think, for 5 years or so. One day, we were in the bank. Here comes this gentleman, well-dressed in his suit. He was in the bank as what? Is it CSO or what? Trust me, the day he came to the bank, this man was looking good. He has finished his jail term and back to normal life. So for such a person, I'm sure at that time, if the money he stole was still in the bank or he invested it and it has yielded returns, his wife will sing all the praise that she needs to sing for him. Why? Because the outcome of his action might have yielded them some good. So the act utilitarians say that they evaluate morality based on the specific outcome of the moral action. And the rule utilitarians evaluate morality based on whether it adheres to rules and regulations or not. Okay, so we'll look at some strengths and weaknesses of teleology. And for a strength, we say that they are flexible because they allow for a consideration of context and circumstance. So because they look at consequence of an action, we don't just jump into conclusion and judge all actions as right or wrong. It allows us to consider the end of your action so that at least the end will justify what you did. It is also outcome-oriented by focusing on practical and tangible results. And then also another strength is that they emphasize or aim to maximize happiness. So you realize for most of the discussions or arguments of the teleologies, they focus on happiness and enjoyment of the individual. One weakness is that it is unpredictable. So it can be difficult to accurately predict all consequences of an action. So just look at the examples I gave. In one instance, someone has been we are calling one person a hedonist for stealing money in the bank because he used it for betting. In another instance, we are saying that somebody's wife is going to sing praises for him, still on the same stealing. Why? Because it might have yielded good results for them. So teleology is unpredictable. When you think this produced good results for me today because it yielded good consequence, another day it may yield wrong or bad consequence, and it may be classified as bad. So it is unpredictable. It has potential of justifying immorality. So people will go about doing wrong and say that their end result is good, so it is right. So you have people smuggling cocaine and all manner of things and say that we are building schools and building hospitals and doing blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, the actions they are doing may be wrong. So teleology has the tendency of justifying immorality. And then it neglects moral principles by overlooking important principles and just focusing on the end or the consequence of the principle. Okay. We move on to deontological theory. And just as teleology, deontology is derived from the Greek word deon, and it means duty. So they hold that we have a duty to perform certain acts, not because of the benefits they give us or give others, but just because they are rules that we must follow. So lying is wrong, no matter the consequence that it yields. So whereas teleologists are looking at the end of an action, deontologists are looking at what does the rule say. Just follow the rules. So they appeal to the basic notions of rights, human dignity, and respect for other persons. So they have no business trying to determine whether an action is yielding happiness or sadness, or yielding good results or bad results. We have rules and regulations that we have laid down. Just follow them. Are you following the rules? If we say this is wrong, nothing makes it right. Just follow it, and that is what it is. And a key principle of the deontology is Immanuel Kant's principle. And he sought to restore reason to its rightful place and say that some things that there are certain things we need to do, and there are certain things that we don't have to do merely by virtue of being rational. So as an individual, your rationality or your understanding of human existence should be enough to tell you that this is right or this is wrong, irrespective of the consequence. So you, this guy who stole the money from the bank, what does your mind tell you? Somebody's hard-earned money. You monitor the person, immediately he deposits, then you go and withdraw. Immediately he deposits, then you go and withdraw. I mean, seriously. So Immanuel Kant is saying that your rationality itself should tell you that this is right or wrong. Then we have the categorical imperative principle. And this principle says that act on rules that you would be willing for everyone to follow. So instead of teleologists looking at consequence, doing this today because it yielded good consequence, and doing that tomorrow because you think it will yield bad consequence, Immanuel Kant, with his categorical imperative principle, is saying that do what or act on rules that you think should be followed or you'll be willing for everyone else to follow. So it is just simply put, do unto others what you want others to do unto you. So don't steal my money today to go and pay your child's school fees and say that you use the money to pay school fees, so it is right. If you don't expect that I should also steal your money, or if you think people cannot steal your money, so just do unto others what you expect them to do unto you. Then another branch of it is the respect for persons. And Immanuel Kant's second formulation of categorical imperative principle says that act so that you treat humanity with respect and treat them not as an end to a means. So don't trample on human beings to get what you want. If you have a staff, you shouldn't only be concerned about give me output, give me high yield, make sales, without considering their conditions of work, without considering how they get to work. Once you are dealing with individuals or human beings, you must have respect for humanity and think about their well-being and not just what you are gaining from them. So simply put, we should treat people with respect as human beings. And this distinguishes human beings from inanimate objects. So if you are feeding a computer with information just information and expecting it to yield output for you. A human being is not in computer. So know that if I work, I get tired. So I must have rest. Know that if you set days for work, there are days that I'll fall sick. So I may need days of leave. There are days that my children will be unwell. So I will need time to take care of them. I am not a machine. I'm not an inanimate being. So you treat human beings as the animate beings that they are supposed to be. Okay. So we move on to some strengths and weaknesses of deontological theory. And for strength, we say that deontological ethics provide clear rules and guidelines that makes it easy to determine what is right or wrong. So now we are not using our subjective judgment to determine whether this outcome is good or right. We have rules that has been laid down for all of us to follow. So let us all follow it. Simple. They also emphasize the importance of individual rights and intrinsic value of human beings, which requires us to protect people from being exploited or mistreated. And then again, it focuses on duties and principles. Deontological theory encourages moral integrity and consistency in ethical decision-making. One weakness is that it can be overly rigid. Deontological theory or applied deontological ethics can be unnecessarily rigid. For instance, the example I gave about ID cards and invigilation. Strictly, if you don't have ID card, you should not be allowed to enter the exam hall. For you know, as a lecturer, I even know the student. I know that this student is in my class. Genuinely, he might have been rushing from home and left the card at home. So he has a genuine reason. Yesterday, here, one of the rules is that if you are 30 minutes late, you shouldn't enter the exam hall. So I was standing at the entrance, and then a gentleman came and said that when he came, it was 8:35. Then I told him, you can't enter. Then this gentleman looked me in the face and said that he's epileptic. So on his way to the exam, he had an epileptic episode. That is why he was late. Can you imagine? I just looked at his face. Me now, I had told myself that I'm relaxing with them because we are level hundreds. They are still finding their way. So yes, I was going to prompt him and just push him small, but eventually I was going to allow him. But what he said, that he's epileptic, as to whether it is true or not, I don't know. It may be true, it may be false. So let us assume that it was true, that indeed he had so-called epileptic episode, and I don't allow him to write because I am following rules and regulations. Genuinely, he will feel very sad because I'm following rules and regulations, but I know he was lying. I just allowed him in. But that is one of the disadvantages that deontological ethics can. It doesn't give room for subjective examination. Just follow rules. In some situations, individuals may also face conflicting duties. So the duty to tell the truth, example, versus the duty to protect someone from harm can be an issue that deontology can bring to us. There can be a lot of conflict. And then lastly, critics also argue that it disregards the importance of consequence because every action of an individual yields some consequence. So you can't say that we can't regard consequence. To some extent, we should have some regard for the consequence of our actions. Okay, so these are the weaknesses of deontological theory. And this brings us to the end of the lecture on theories of ethics. So please, the floor is opened now. If you have any question, kindly put up your hand. Okay, Henry. Or it's not Henry. Christian.
Madam, please, can we go back to the ontological ethics?
Okay. Okay.
Here it says they appeal to the basic notions of right, human dignity, and respect for other persons.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking at what's happening in South Africa. What? Oh, how do I put it? Is it the ontological?
The xenophobic attacks ongoing now in South Africa.
Yes, madam.
So I think that is more of teleology than the ontology. Because for the ontology, if they are following the ontology, like all other nations do, there are rules and regulations, there are immigration rules and procedures. So if you are given a visa, the visa has a description, visitor's visa, business visa, blah, blah, blah. So all they needed to do, yes, where is your visa or your permit to stay here? Once the person has the right permit, you should be allowed to go scot-free or do whatever you want to do. Maybe I have a visitor's visa. I'm here to visit. I have not exceeded my length of stay. You shouldn't have a problem with me. I am here on business. I have the right visa. I have the work permit. You shouldn't have a problem with me. But they are not considering any regulation or any immigration policy or whatever. They are just looking at the end product. These people have come here plenty, so we can't get work to do. Massa move. So those who are there on legitimate grounds, who have invested money to build or set up businesses, they are attacking all of them. So that is more teleological than deontological. Please, do you agree with me?
Yes, madam.
Okay. Any other question? Any other question?
No, madam.
Okay. So your mid-semester, you have a quiz, an online quiz. I will send the details to your course rep so that she shares it with you, the dates and the duration and all. It will be loaded on your LMS. I think usually I make it available for 72 hours so that everybody can have the opportunity to do it. Please, once I bring it up, once I give the outline to your course rep, I will spell out specifically the time. Please, 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 and please again, note the time and make sure you do it within the time I have specified, because if the time elapses and it goes off, no matter what excuse or explanation you call me to give, I won't open it up.
Hey.
Yes. So please,
Madam,
don't
which theory
call
are
me
you
and
are
say,
you are
I've
you
had
stating?
instances, someone called me, my sister died
Madam,
this weekend,
Madam,
my wife gave all manner of stories. I don't listen to them.
Hey.
I don't listen
Madam,
to them.
easy,
I
madam,
leave it
easy,
there
easy, easy.
for good 72 hours. So if you don't have a laptop, 72 hours is enough for you to get a laptop. If you don't have data, if you live
Hey,
in a place where you have to climb a tree, if you live, just say, whatever your situation is, if your wife is pregnant and needs to deliver, I'm not sure it takes 72 hours for a woman to deliver. Whatever it is, I make
Hey.
sure you have a lot of time to deal with all the challenges that human being can be confronted with. So if you are not able to deal with it and the time elapses, then it is coming from your hometown. You contact them. Don't call me.
Asema.
Madam, you are following your
This one,
This one, yeah,
One
Dio.
town people have followed you to
But
class.
sorry, your friend.
Pay for Munda.
Therefore, Behawajin,
Hi.
please let us take notes and follow it. I'll let the course rep, I'll let Sedinam know, and then she'll communicate to you. So thank you all very much for coming to class today. We'll meet next, God willing. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, madam.
Bye.
Madam,
Madam,
Yes.
we are begging you.
thank you, madam.
Madam, please, can you drop your personal contact?
It's on the course outline. I've shared my course outline with you all. It's on the course outline. It's on your
Yes,
LM.
yes, it's there.
Okay,
All right, madam. I will call you.
Hey, for your notice, madam is not going to take bribe. Oh.
Madam is married. Madam is married.
She's
Hey,
married.
what's bribe? What's bribe? Massa.
Charlie, then they record the session. Oh, Monday,
Ah, Jimmy, and also too much.
Charlie. It feel like say
the
the two
movie
slides for
So
today's
you
session.
people can just keep quiet after class. Eh? Ah.
I fordo then shovel some people.
As a matter that class is over, make everybody come out. If they show who do, they go talk something. Ah.